Last week, TSM fired their long-standing League of Legends coach Peter Zhang for what they described as a conflict of interest and unethical practices. The reports that have emerged in the days since paint a bizarre picture in this latest chapter of what has been a brutal year for TSM's League of Legends team. Alright then, if you find these videos informative or helpful in any way and you haven't subscribed yet, please consider doing so. It would help us get to 2 million subs and you would get our videos sent to you every single day. No worries. So on March 18th, we knew that something was going on with TSM's League of Legends team when a couple of the players started tweeting. Speaker said, "Every day at TSM is a banger, lol," and later on, Shen Yi tweeted this series of dots. And later, TSM released a statement on Twitter saying, "We were recently made aware of very serious allegations of conflict of interest and unethical practices against League of Legends coach Peter Zhang. After an initial conversation, we have terminated him effective immediately. We are working with external legal counsel to complete a full investigation." Now, if you don't know, Peter Zhang, also known as Zhang Yi, joined TSM as their academy team's head coach in 2018 and also spent a year as the main roster's coach before returning to academy. TSM offered no further explanations about the allegations of conflict of interest and unethical practices. As speculation exploded, Peter Zhang addressed TSM fans directly in the org's Discord. He said he made a mistake which he guessed was enough for him to get immediately released from the org. Later, in a longer post, he quelled the rumor that his dismissal was due to alleged match fixing. He added his appreciation for TSM and said his plan was to return to his family in China and wait for the results of TSM's investigation. LCS Commissioner Jack Felling confirmed in a Reddit comment that on Riot's end, this was not a case of match fixing and that it was an internal matter for TSM. So, TSM wasn't adding anything to their statement for now, and Peter Zhang was not elaborating on the details of his dismissal. However, on Sunday, Dexerto's Richard Lewis published an article in which he stated that sources informed them Peter Zhang had been dismissed because of an agent-style setup where he'd secured Chinese and Taiwanese players a spot on TSM for a cut of their earnings. These sources told Dexerto that Peter Zhang would take a portion of the players' earnings, usually much higher than a standard agent's fee, and then ensure that they had a spot on the team. If this was the case, it would naturally be a big conflict of interest to act as both agent and coach. Sources also told Dexerto that Peter Zhang had been borrowing, quote, significant sums of money from many figures under the TSM organization, including players from both the main and academy roster, and that, quote, when affected parties raised concerns about the loans, they started to be paid back. At the time of reporting this, almost all the money has been recouped. Peter Zhang confirmed the existence of these loans to Dexerto and told them he needed the money for a family emergency, for which he showed proof of him requesting time off for this. As for the coach/agent role, he said the accusations of him playing both coach and agent were either a misunderstanding or a malicious framing of events. He cited one example with TSM's academy support Yerson and admitted that while he did receive a $1,000 a month cut from his paycheck, that money was always sent directly to the player's agent. He explained that this was because as a US green card holder, he had bank accounts in both countries and so was able to facilitate these transactions more easily. Now, between TSM's announcement and Dexerto's article, Doublelift had alluded on stream that he knew some of the details of this story. Doublelift, TSM's former AD carry, has had clashes with its owner Reginald, which have led in part to a recent Riot investigation into the CEO over alleged work misconduct and bullying of employees. Doublelift knew Peter Zhang from his time at TSM, and when the Dexerto article came out, he added some more allegations to the pile.
I do not want to say who he has 200k from, but what I will say is that he got multiple players on TSM to send him anywhere between 12 and 25k. And then that same day, those players, before that wire transfer went through, those players canceled it and saved their money.
Doublelift also alleged that former TSM support Swordart had asked Peter Zhang to sell his car for him when the Taiwanese star returned home after a year with the team.
At that point, I was like, okay, this guy, he's doing a bunch of sketchy under the table stuff. He owes this guy like a metric ton of money. That was a super expensive car. I knew that he definitely owed Sword Art money, and I was like, this is
Peter Zhang told Dexerto that he recognizes his wrongdoing, that he will pay Sword Art back in full, that the other claims about him are not true, and that he will work with Riot in any investigation they conduct to prove his innocence. Doublelift also said that Peter Zhang had recently asked him for $70,000 to cover medical expenses for his grandma who was dying in hospital.
If somebody asked me in an emergency for a few $1,000s, or somebody that I really trusted, I would lend them a pretty large amount of money. $70,000 to someone I barely know? No, that's not happening.
Doublelift added that when he asked some of their mutual friends, he found they'd been asked and told similar things by Peter Zhang. Clearly, there's still a lot that's unknown here. There are questions that only TSM, Peter Zhang, or the people he allegedly asked for money from can answer. And if you've been watching any of my recent videos on TSM, you'll know that all of this comes after months of key figures leaving the org, while their famed LCS team has had its worst start in the league's 9-year history. TSM will likely elaborate on the details of this dismissal once they've concluded their report. It's unclear whether Peter Zhang will do the same beyond the admissions and denials he's already made. We're certainly missing some details here, details that will help clear up at least one corner of the room of calamity that is TSM's 2022 so far.
Thanks for watching. If you want more content like this, hit the sub button and ring the notification bell. For unique bite-sized videos you won't find anywhere else, hit us up on our Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.